Yes. Assalamu alaikum and welcome everybody to the session. This is
Walaikum
another
salam.
session of the series of Global Tech Summit in collaboration with Ijad Lab, PWIC, and few other collaborators. Today we'll be talking about software development as a career. So we have a power pack panelist who have been going through the different stages in their career, and most of them are probably the senior level positions or manager, and they have been through the different stages. So definitely they can give us the good insights about the whole career breakdown in a detailed manner. So to formally start with the session, I would like each one of you to introduce yourself, and I'll start with the Sarvat. So over to you, Sarvat, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarvat Ismail. I'm currently a developer in the Xbox division at Microsoft. I've been at Microsoft for the last 15 years. Wow, whenever I say that, it sounds
Wow.
like crazy. I have worked in a lot of different teams. I started out in Windows, and I was in Bing, and then I was in Xbox. So in all over the place, Bing Maps, Xbox Connect launch, Xbox One launch, then back to MMX world, Windows MMX, which is the phone experiences with Windows. And then I'm back to Xbox again. So it looks like I like Xbox a lot. So now I'm working on PlayFab. It's a startup that Microsoft acquired, and it's basically about helping gaming studios, independent gamers with what the services they need to be in operation. So yeah, that's me. Apart from that, I'm a mom of 3 boys, and I've had a lot of experience, juggling maternities and job changes within Microsoft. I'd love to give advice on that as well.
Oh, good. So next we have Karib Kazmi, who is working as a senior engineer in Pakistan, senior software engineer. So I would like you to introduce yourself, please.
Well, my name is Karib Kazmi, and I'm a graduate of FAST. And actually, I'm from the first batch of Islamabad. So it's like
Mhm.
been 19,
Wow.
20 years now. And I started off with being a embedded software engineer, then moved on to systems, then moved on to some work in telecom industry, and then moved on to Bentley. And in Bentley, it's now been 13, 14 years now. And Bentley is a company that does infrastructure software. So most people don't know about it because it's not everyday software. But if we talk about this company as a global level company, so it's probably number 2 in the world right now in terms of 3D, 2D modeling tools for software. And I am currently managing a team that works on a 2D product. So yeah, I've been around in different areas, and now for the last 13, 14 years, I'm in Bentley, Islamabad.
Good to know you, Karib. So we can further continue with Sarah. And Sarah, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sarah Ilyas. First of all, thank you for having me here. So I was a bit about myself. I was born and raised in Lahore. I did my undergrad from FAST, then got hired by Microsoft,
Okay.
and then moved to US around 10 years ago.
Okay.
So I was
Okay.
working for Microsoft for quite a bit. Then 3 years ago, I moved to Alexa Amazon, which is Amazon's virtual assistant. I'm loving it here. So I've been through various stages in my career. I'd love to give you advice on that. Thanks.
So in the last we have Ayesha. So Ayesha, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ayesha Bashir. I graduated. I'm born and raised in Islamabad, Pakistan, and I graduated from FAST Islamabad in 2008 batch. And right after that, I joined Microsoft in 2013. I joined as a tester in Xbox, and we went through Xbox One launch and was part of the team for 2 years. Then I moved to a developer role. And I've stayed as a developer for 4 more years. Now I'm a software engineering manager, and I have a team of 7. And we have basically what we do is we do the usually for the purchase flows and redemption. So we are the storefronts team, and we do the e-commerce system within Microsoft for consumer space. That includes all Office products, all Xbox products, through our site as well as through console and Xbox itself. And I think I'll be I really enjoy to give advice on different career movements as well. How I moved from pre-medicine to computer science. So I think my journey is quite different. I never thought myself as a software engineer. So I think I would like, if anybody has questions about that, I'd love to share that as well.
Thank you, Aisha, for a good introduction. To start formally with the question, I'll start with Sarvat. Sarvat, when you were growing up, were you looking forward to be the software developer in future?
So I'll tell you so I came to Canada. I was in Lahore first, Dubai, Lahore, and then Pakistan. Well, what am I saying? Dubai, Lahore, and then Canada. So I came to Canada at 14. The first time I was just thinking about this. The first time I actually touched a computer was on my, third day of being in Canada in my typing class, and I was horrified of computers, like as simple as that. I never owned a computer before that. I didn't play that many video games. The only reason I think I literally got into computer science was because I did maybe one coding course in grade 9 or 10. I enjoyed it. It was okay, nothing big. The only reason was like, oh, my parents were like, well, this is, go to Waterloo. This is like the best university for mathematics and hardest one to, get into the usual, right? The coveted degree. And then it also had a side of computer science. So it was like a minor, I don't know, there's like bachelor's in mathematics with some computer science. So I just kind of fell into it from that, not with passion. I straight up. So I got in, and then when I started doing the bachelor's in mathematics, I was like, oh my God, I don't like maths. So then I started doing more and more of computer science courses because I remembered that I did enjoy coding. And so as I kept going, I kept in my senior years, I was like, okay, finish math as fast as I can, but then do my more and more computer science. So I ended up doing a double, major in both of them. So it was pretty cool. And then after that, I knew, like when I graduated, I was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be my thing. I'm gonna develop, like, by the fourth year, I knew.
So
yeah,
when
that's
you
my
actually started your
story.
job,
Mm-hmm.
so when you
Sorry.
started your job, you were very much familiar with. I wanted to know that when you started your job, were
Mm-hmm.
you very much familiar with the kind of responsibility is that this role
Oh,
offers?
yes. That's actually a different story. So I actually did not join in as a developer. So when I moved from Canada right after I got married. So I moved from Toronto to Seattle because my husband was already working at Microsoft. And my thing was just get a job fast. It was the worst idea ever that, like just get the first job I can get. So I joined in as a contractor at Microsoft because I felt that I just needed to work, and I picked basically not even checking what I'm getting into. I was just like, okay, my first job, who cares, right? So I took a QA role, and I realized in QA role as a contractor, I wasn't getting as much, I wasn't getting challenged. I wasn't getting as much coding experience. But then again, lo and behold, I wanted to join full time. Again, first job that I could land at Microsoft. It was called the SDET position, software developer and test. Again, just jumped straight in because I was like, want to get into Microsoft full time. I don't care what position. So it was kind of like that. So that's not the best advice I would give to anybody. I think you should really think about your career and your passions and not just worry about just getting a job. So that was my background. I didn't have mentorship at that time. I mean, you can imagine the space 15 years ago, what it was like. It was even worse. We didn't have much Pakistanis, first of all, at Microsoft at that time. We had them, but they were very scattered. We have a much bigger community now, I feel. And we have things like PWIC. There was none of that, So my thing was literally get in, and just try, like, jump straight into a swimming pool and just try to swim, right? And that's the worst way to get into tech career. I actually did all right in different places. I enjoyed coding. I worked on platforms. I tried to get in as much as I could into the coding part of things, but there was a lot of other things, obviously, as an S that we had to do, right? And get into testing and all of that. So, but I feel like what my regret, or not regret, when I look back, I should have straight away gotten in as a developer, because that's what I enjoyed. So now that I joined 5 years ago back at Microsoft after I had my third kid, who was 1 year old, I decided, you know what, time to make that change. And I made that change, and I was like, what have I been doing all this time? So it's a big it was a big change for me, and the most exciting one. Came in a little late, but I think that can be inspiring to some people as well, because when you think that I had been in my career 8-9 years, starting to feel like a dead end at some point, because I wanted to do something totally different. But I was eventually able to do that by giving it my all, and I can go about that later. All right, I'll let you ask another question.
Good. Thank you, Sarva. So I'll continue with Aisha. Aisha, as you were mentioning about your majors in high school, that was about pre-medical instead of pre-engineering or computer science. And then finishing your high school with pre-medical, then ending up in FAST with a computer science degree, and then going forward with the Microsoft. How was this journey? How much it was planned, and how much destiny played with you?
Yeah, so I'll go. मैं उर्दू में explain करूँगी to, as I know most of our audience is from Pakistan. I think when जब हम बड़े हो रहे थे तो mostly it's like कि अच्छा आप if you are doing really good in school तो आप you'll be a doctor, you'll be an engineer, right? That's the typical thinking we have most of the time, which is how it was. I was in pre-medicine. मेरी सारी दोस्तें are most of them, 90% or 80% of them are doctors. I'm so glad I'm not a doctor. But what ended up happening was I didn't clear the entry test. And then I was very devastated, end of my life. I couldn't make it. And at that time, we didn't have much resources in private sector medicine. And I didn't want to talk much about that. And that was really-
Ayesha, I can't hear you well.
Yes, there's some distortion. Please confirm.
I can hear like a fan or something.
Yes.
Or is that just me?
Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I wanted to go to a private school for medicine. So what I ended up doing, I think they were my elder brother pushed me. My father reached out to all his resources, and we decided, okay, I'm gonna do additional maths with the supply exams that are really after 3 months after the regular exam. So I did my additional maths for first year, second year together. Within 3 months, and then I started applying everywhere. In engineering, I applied in UAT, I applied in FAST Islamabad, I applied everywhere. And so I think at that time, I'll mention Uzma Waji. I think some of you might know Uzma Maru from FAST Islamabad, but she's my best friend's sister. So I went to her, I talked to her as well. She went from pre-medicine to computer science as well. And so I asked her, how do you like it and everything? And she coached me a little bit. And what I ended up doing was, as soon as I got admission in FAST, I was just so frustrated with everything that was happening, me switching from medicine and not getting admission, that I'm like, okay, this is the first thing. Computer science looks cool. I'll just get in. That was like, it was more fate. And I would say prayers from my father, and fate that landed me in the right position. And I struggled the first semester because I had no clue of computers. हमारे घर में जो computer होता था, it was in my brother's room. So it was more of a, we'll go play a game, come back, and he'll take care of the whole computer. And we were like literally scared of if we change anything, he'll be like, "हमने तो खराब कर दिया," right? And we will be like, "Oh my God, हमने computer खराब कर दिया." So I think that whole dynamics changed when I learned about computers, and I still say that to my siblings now. Okay, computer kharab nahi ho sakta kabhi bhi. You can always fix it. I think uh, I think
I
my
agree.
advice to everybody will be like coming out of your fears, like trying something new. And I think that's what something that has helped me throughout my career. Um, from going from pre-medical to do something that I didn't knew and then acing it. Like first semester was really terrible. Mujhe yaad hai, I used to write code on paper and literally go to his Babaji, am I writing the right thing? Is this function making sense or not? And then once I had the rhythm, then I aced it. Alhamdulillah, it went really great. I mean, the whole degree went fine. And then I got into Microsoft as well. At Microsoft, the first day I remember, they gave me the machines and asked me to set it up, and I was like, what? I have never set up a machine in my life because I had brothers and they'll help me, or friends who will do it at college. But so that's the first time I set up a computer myself, but I was fine, it was okay. I mean, I was able to do it. I was able to look at the slots and put them at the right place. So again, coming out, trying something new and coming out of your fear is my, I think, constant theme that I have learned throughout my career, of like trying it out. And if something is scary, if you try it out, it will be less scary, and then it will just be something you have tried. Again, I think throughout my career, when I joined Microsoft as said, then I moved to a developer role. It was scary because before I was just writing tests, more or less. I mean, it was automation as well, but like seeing something that you are developing in production was a different feeling altogether. And then now I think over the years, I found that my passion is really in people. I'm really good with how to make sure people grow in their career. That was my strength. So I think I went to GHC. I attended a session there and learned that that's something I really enjoy, because I did mentorship for a couple of interns and I really, really enjoyed. And I mentioned that to, I think, my leadership as well. And when I got the right opportunity, I became a people's manager as well now. So I'm driving a whole team. But I think that has been the important learning for me throughout my career. Um, um, uh,
So,
I'm again hearing some sound. Sorry. I don't know. There you
is it
go.
fine now?
Are you guys still
Okay.
hearing it?
I'm hearing the noise too, but it sounds really good.
Like a
Okay.
hum, right? That's fine.
Okay. Aisha, it was really insightful for many who are definitely looking forward after a different majors in their high school. So to continue further, I would ask Karib that how was his first experience to get a job as a software developer after completing his degree in computer science? And I would also like him to give you insights about the fact, definitely being the senior software engineer, he definitely sits in the interviews now. How it was back then when he wanted to be hired, and how it is now when he let other people to be hired in Bentley or in software role wherever he work.
Sorry. So, on the peril of sounding like an ancient guy, but I will still answer this because when I started my degree, it was totally by chance because उस वक्त कंप्यूटर साइंस के बारे में पाकिस्तान में एटलीस्ट किसी ने सुना नहीं था बहुत ज़्यादा. तो आई वुड से इट वाज टोटली बाय चांस कि और कहीं एडमिशन नहीं हुआ, किसी ने बताया कि फास्ट इस्लामाबाद यहाँ पे खुल रहा है इस्लामाबाद में. आई गॉट गेव द टेस्ट, पास्ड इट, आई सेड ओके. तो उस वक्त फर्स्ट टाइम मैंने कंप्यूटर ज़िंदगी में पहले वहाँ देखा था. Throughout the degree, because we were the seniors, we were the first batch, we didn't have anyone to senior to look up to and to ask questions. There was no internet. Would you believe it? Fast में internet उस वक्त नहीं होता था. And we just had a novel netware and that's it. We didn't know what to do with it because कुछ था ही नहीं उसमें. तो जब जॉब की बारी आई तो I applied a few places, बट मेरे फादर हैं, उनके क्लाइंट थे, उन्होंने कहा जी वी नीड अ सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर, आप बेटे को वहाँ भेज दें. कहा ठीक है. आई वेंट देयर, दे गेव मी एन इंटरव्यू, दे सेड ओके ज्वाइन फ्रॉम टुमारो. उसके बाद जब मैं पहले दिन जब ऑफिस पहुंचा तो इट वाज एन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कंपनी that used to work for Air Force developing radar warning receivers. ठीक है. एंड आई डिड नॉट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट इट. अब आजकल तो फिर भी कंप्यूटर्स जब हम पढ़ रहे होते हैं कोर्सेज या डिग्री, तो उसके बाद आपको इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के बारे में और माइक्रो प्रोसेसर इंटरफेसिंग और इन चीज़ों के बारे में काफ़ी कुछ बता देते हैं. आई नेवर लर्न दैट एट फास्ट. और वहाँ जाके पहली दफ़ा I saw an IC, I saw how it's interfaced with some things, electronics, a ton of electronics. And I was the only software engineer in that company. It was all electronic engineers. And suddenly I was the expert. I mean, just coming fresh out of the university, and I was the expert on software. So I just had to go through it, go through the motions, learn things, do things. उधर कोई इस तरह hierarchy नहीं थी, role नहीं था. In fact, for the first 5 6 years, I've not been in a corporate job or a corporate company. It was like learning on the go, doing whatever is coming. I think हम अब जो बात basically कर रहे हैं about software field as a profession or software field as a career choice. So I would say that software field as a career choice is all about problem solving. And if you're not good at problem solving, you'll not thrive at it because I think most jobs में problem solving कुछ ना कुछ होती है, but in computer science it's a whole another level. I mean, all of you know, you have gone through it. Development, जब आप development कर रहे होते हैं, it's always about problem solving. And एस्टिमेशन, आपको एक चीज का दी जाती है, आपको कहा जाता है कि अच्छा जस्ट डू इट एंड दे आस्क यू कि कितनी देर में हो जाएगी. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट्स गेस वर्क. यू डोंट एक्चुअली नो कि वो प्रॉब्लम कितनी जल्दी सॉल्व हो जाएगा, बट यू गेट बेटर विद टाइम. बट एज अ फ्रेश ग्रेजुएट you just have to go through it. So my first job was sort of very difficult in the sense that I was the only person there. uh, Slowly the team grew and we delivered. And would you believe it, my first job was to reverse engineer a radar warning receiver. And I did not know it was impossible. So me and one other friend of mine, he joined later. The two of us, we just did it. अभी आयशा ने बात की थी of writing code on paper. तो हम लोग क्या करते थे, we would take printouts of assembly language, decoded assembly language, and mark it on the paper that this is a for loop, this is an if loop, this is a while loop. And we used to replace uh, addresses with variables and then try to make out of things of how this is happening. And actually we, in 2 years, we converted a Pascal program, decoded it and converted into a C language and run it on a computer. We run a radar warning receiver on a computer in 2 years. So that was my first job. So there was a sort of very less defined software company or software industry in that time. It was like 2000, 20 years ago. So I started my first job in 2001. Now we feel that there are a lot of companies and a lot of different options and things. uh, One thing I would like to say is I still feel कि स्टूडेंट्स अभी जो आते हैं कंप्यूटर साइंस में या इंडस्ट्री में, आज से 20 साल पहले शायद इतनी चीज़ें क्लियर नहीं थी, लेकिन अभी भी अगर कोई बगैर रिसर्च किए या बगैर सोचे समझे या बगैर इस फील्ड को थोड़ा सा एनालाइज किए बगैर आ रहा है, तो दैट्स द बिगेस्ट मिस्टेक यू कैन डू राइट नाउ कमिंग इनटू द फील्ड. सो आई थिंक मेरी स्टोरी थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा लंबी हो जाएगी अगर मैं और अभी तो दिस इज द फर्स्ट जॉब. आई कैन गो ऑन अबाउट द सेकंड जॉब एंड देन थर्ड जॉब. बट answering your question, Sabha, purely coincidental, purely just jumping into the ocean and just learning to swim uh, all by yourself. That was my experience when I started my job first time.
Good, Karim. I wanted to know that do you find the same adaptability nature in the graduates now? When you interview them or when you interact with them?
um, I would say that um, now people, most of the people that I come across, they say कि हमें तो 2-1 साल के बाद हमने किसी मैनेजमेंट पोजीशन पे जाना है या मैनेजमेंट रोल पे जाना है. एंड दैट्स अ की थिंग दैट कम्स अप अगेन एंड अगेन. आई मीन दे वुड नॉट नो द बेसिक्स एंड दे वुड सी कि अच्छा 2 साल बाद मैं किसी मैनेजमेंट पोजीशन पे आ जाऊंगा. The thing that I want to emphasize again is computer science ka role is a role of problem solving. And if you're not good at basics, you're not good at maths, you're not good at the other allied engineering material, you'll struggle. Currently जो मेरी जॉब है वो सिविल इंजीनियर, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर्स, हमारे पास सारे ये इस तरह के लोग जो हैं वो क्यूए में होते हैं, एंड वी नीड टू डेवलप सॉफ्टवेयर फॉर देम. सो टू अंडरस्टैंड द डोमेन इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड टू अंडरस्टैंड बेसिक्स इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, जो कि मुझे थोड़ा लैकिंग नज़र आता है. इस वक्त ज़्यादा फोकस टूल्स पे होता है या करियर के पाथ के ऊपर होता है, बट शुरू में आपको ये रियलाइज़ करना चाहिए कि 2 3 4 साल you'll have to do the tough work and get used to domains and improve your problem solving skills.
Yes, I agree that you are emphasizing more on the foundation knowledge and the foundation, the conceptual thing, instead of getting into the technology aspect of the IT. Thank you, Karab. I would like Sarah to share that how it was to start your first job. Like you were continuing your studies in FAST Lahore. You ended up your studies with whatever GPA or whatever credentials you earned there. And then you had to start your first job in Microsoft. First of all, how was it to start your job there? And how much it was relevant to all the things that you studied in your degree?
Yeah, so actually my first job was for a few months in Pakistan. I worked at Techlogics. But by that time, I had already gotten hired by Microsoft, so I just did it for fun till I got my visa. So once I moved here, one thing that I was very, very intimidated because I was coming from Pakistan, and here I would see people who were from MIT, Yale, working with me, and I was so intimidated that they must be super smart. But I realized that they are actually just like me. They might have a little bit more exposure being in the US, but other than that, it's in terms of intelligence or how quickly they grasp, it's pretty much run. I mean, we're all smart people. So that took me some time. There is something that we all, I mean, I still deal with it, the imposter syndrome, where we think that we're not good enough. Like Ayesha was mentioning, that she used to go and ask that,
Yes, that's what I wanted you to highlight the most, please.
Yeah. So, but then with the passage of time, I tried to come over it. It took some time, but at the end of the day, everybody's smart. You're in this field, you'll do good. So the other thing that so my first project at Microsoft was I was working for a team called System Center, and now everything's on the cloud. But at that time, it was the software used to monitor data centers and inform the customers about the health of their data centers. So my first project was I had to write a tool which would parse the logs and help our customer support teams, जिनको calls आती थी कि हमें ये मसला आ रहा है, so they could read those logs and help our customers. So this was for like somebody starting out. It was a pretty complex task because it involved getting an understanding of different tools that were already present, from usability, like what to show to the customer support team so that they can quickly help solve the problem. So one thing I realized very early on, that one course that we really underestimate, which is software engineering, is actually really, really useful. Because my first job, I had to deal with my program manager to get the requirements, understand them. Then I had to design the whole software before I could actually start implementing it. And that actually used UML and I don't know whatnot that I actually had to revisit. So design the software, then translating it into code, which we'd all do. I had to learn C#. I had not used C# before. The other thing there's a change in mindset once you move from university to an actual industry job. And that change in mindset is that you are the owner from end to end. It's not just writing code and finishing your job. You start it. You have to. We're not even used to writing unit tests. So learning about different unit test frameworks. Then the whole project ended with me giving a demo to I think 100 of people all over the world, helping them understand how to use the tool. And then in the middle, there are minor things that you need to learn as well. For example, for me, Microsoft Technologies team, I had to learn them. I didn't know some of them. For example, source control के लिए क्या use होता है. So they're minor things that you learn on the way. But I think this is the major thing that I learned was this, that there has to be a shift in your mindset, that you are responsible for whatever you're producing, the quality of the work end to end. Even once you're done, being able to monitor how good your code is, like how good it's running, is also your responsibility. I think that's pretty much it.
Yes, it sums up a lot of things that we wanted to know at the first. So thank you very much, Sarah, for giving a detailed insights. I'll continue with Sarvat now. Sarvat, going ahead with different positions in your career ladder while growing up, how much it was in terms of transitioning to different roles, like as you have mentioned that you were initially you were in the testing and later on you actually came to the coding side. How was it? Like, I don't think this is a usual transition that usually people take, but how was it for you and how do you recommend it to others?
So for I think at Microsoft, I have seen quite a bit of transition where people are actually doing, they were doing the SDET role, the testing role, and they moved to development. It is a difficult transition, but it is not unheard of at Microsoft. For me, I think what happened is I was going through a lot of things, right? I started out in testing. This was my first real job in a big company. Like before that, I had done some co-op positions. So my degree was a co-op degree where you study 4 months and you work 4 months. And my actual work experience was most as a TA, like a teaching assistant. So it's a very different type of role, right? Where you work with stuff that you already know and you're just teaching people. And then when I got into the testing role at Microsoft, it was obviously still it was very different, basically, right? Like you come in here again, they give you some boxes and they say, here is your little section and go set it up. Like that's what I was told. Here is your section, set it up, right? And I was like, wow, how do you do this? So just I remember my first year at Microsoft, all I said to my husband every other night, I'm gonna get fired soon. Like that's literally what I said all the time. Like I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I have no idea. I don't know what they want from me. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Nobody's telling me if I'm doing the right thing. Is my work is it even being viewed in any, So that's where I think management comes in, and it's very important to have a good manager. I didn't know any of that. I didn't even know promotions exist. It's really bad. It's bad. When you go back into what my background was 15 years ago, there was no mentorship. There was no letting people know, how you work, how do you get feedback. So there was a lot of that. So I continued like that, I think, for 3 years. I just did not have a clue, but I think around 3 years, I had a good manager. And finally he goes, so how about that promotion? I think we should work on that, right? And I was like, oh, okay, there are levels. Anyways, so obviously there are levels. I learned that, and I had to learn what it takes to go from one level to the other, and what type of work, and what is something called getting visibility and recognition. So there was a lot of just that, not just doing your work. There's a lot of office politics. There's a lot of communication styles. There's a lot of teamwork and showing that you're a team member. So there was a lot of that I had to learn, other than doing obviously the usual technical stuff. So yeah, as I had a better manager, he gave me lots of good sessions about how do you grow. And in the middle of all of that, I had 2 children. I also went through team changes. Went through 50 reorgs. I can probably. I moved cities. I went from Bellevue to Redmond to Bellevue. A lot of building changes, office changes. So all of that was going on at the same time. And then I think around the time when I had been in my career, I was getting my promotions in the test role, but I was starting to feel like I'm not learning as much, right? I'm doing the usual. I'm writing my tests. I'm finding good bugs. everybody is giving me awards for finding the most bugs or whatever you want to call it, but it wasn't as exciting anymore. So and then I was like, what excites me, and what excites other people, and what do I want? And at that time I remember all the developers pointing to features that they had written and letting people know, like when I was in Xbox, they're like, yep, this is my sign-in app. I worked on the Xbox One sign-in app and I let you into Xbox, So, and I was like, oh my God, like that would be amazing if I could point to something and say, this is me, I wrote this and you're running my code. So that was my, I kept telling myself I should do this, but then I had been there 8 years and I had a third child who was 1 year old, and I was just like, how do I get back into this study mode? Like mom's gonna study at 5 a.m. in the morning. Like this is crazy. I'm already not getting any sleep. So, but then there was a time once I was talking about this very quickly in my fireside chat. Somebody said to me, "Yeah, your destiny is done. Like, so you're going to be doing this for a long time." Like it was an arrogant talk from one of my somebody at Microsoft, and that was the final draw. I said, "Really? Oh, we're going to do this? Okay." So that's exactly when I picked up a stack of paper and I said, this stack of paper is going to be full from front and back with coding. For the next 4 months, I will be writing code. I don't care what happens, what type of code is written on this. I will figure this out. And I think it took me longer. I said 4 months. It took me around 6 months to bring up the courage finally to say, yes, I'm ready. And that's when I started going. And my way of interviewing, and it's not recommended to everybody, but it works for me, was to set up a whole week of interviews with 5 different teams. I just went for it, like nose deep, just go in. Because the way I saw it is, first interview is gonna suck, second interview is gonna get better, like second loop, right? Each loop is 5 interviews of all day interview. So my plan was, okay, suck on Monday, suck on Tuesday, start getting better Wednesday, Thursday will be much better, and Friday will be the offer, right? And you know what? I took a whole week off from work and I did that. And yeah, I landed a couple roles. It was amazing. But that was my transition. I think it was scary at first, but I felt that once you put your mind to it, and I think the scariest step is actually saying, I'm doing this, and I'm going to put my mind to it. And interviewing was very scary. Like I practiced with my husband, I practiced with my friends, I practiced with myself, and I was scaring myself just practicing, right? But then I think that just giving it my all and saying that I'm just going to go deep in for these, couple week, whatever how you feel comfortable, and just going at it. It just gives you so much more confidence as you do better and better. You can see yourself improving. Now we have things like lead code. I don't remember anything about lead code, HackerRank, or any of that. That stuff really helps, right? When you practice with that and you can see your numbers improving, because we're, as computer science grads, math grads, we like to see numbers. So once you start seeing that, it helps with confidence. And I think that's what I feel like at my transition was. I don't know how much more time I have. I can keep talking, but basically I will say, I'll tell you one last thing. When my transition did happen into development role, it was horrifying again. I cried for probably the first 6 months.
That's what I wanted to know. That
I'm sorry, I didn't get into that.
You were raising your kids. You were shifting.
Oh yeah,
you were shifting to cities, and you were not crying.
I cried. I'm not gonna say everybody. I think we all have our days. I think we've all gone through tears. My main rule was do not show tears at work. I will show whatever tears needed at home. So or if I, needed, there were emotional times, because there was a lot of arrogance. There was a lot of, people, you need a thick skin to be able to handle code reviews. I think my first code review took me a whole week to close. It's bad, right? So I didn't know how to get consensus on things. I mean, coding is not just coding, right? There's a lot of negotiation that happens. There's a lot of scoping that happens. There's a lot of team effort, and there's a lot of work that you need to get other people to do. So I didn't know any of that. I just said, oh, I'll write some code, I'll get a code review and get it in. No, it's not as simple. So that whole the whole year was really, really difficult. Again, I asked myself, why did you do this to yourself? Why do you do this? And I think I finished that first year, and then I had another manager change, and that manager worked out even better. And then I knew how to play with code, how to get into code, how to talk to people about code. There's just so much around. Just you don't write code all day, right? We'll talk about that in more, but there's just a lot more to the job than just writing code.
Yes,
So.
thank you very much. So this was amazing to share in such a candid manner. So I'll continue with
If I
Sarah.
may add
Sarah, when you
something,
said that,
if I may add something to
please.
this,
Yes, please.
sorry, I'm interrupting, but I just wanted to be a little bit more interactive. The one thing we don't realize as coders, as developers, is it's not always that we are going to work on our code.
Yeah.
Most of the time is that we spend time on fixing other people's code, and that's what they don't teach in university. I mean, the basic skill that they don't teach at university is handling other people's code and debugging. And that's the thing that I've learned when I came in to my first corporate job. I mean, before that, two jobs, I just told you I was working on my own, doing things, writing code. Writing code is not that hard, but when you come in and you see this is a code that has been written for 20 years, and you don't understand what, कोई सर पैर ही नहीं पता लग रहा होता आपको कोड का उस वक्त जो किसी और ने लिखा हुआ है, and you just have to understand it and then write it. And that's the thing that people don't realize coming out of university, that it's not your own code that you deal with. So I just wanted to add that. And
मेरा next question यही था.
one more thing that okay, yeah, go ahead.
कारण मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन यही था कि जब हम कहते हैं कि आई एम अ सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपर, डज दैट मीन कि हम हर वक्त कोडिंग कर रहे होते हैं?
नहीं. If you are working on a new product, maybe that's the case 60-70% of the time. But if you're working on a product that's existing, most of the time that you will spend is trying to find the problem where the problem is. And at the end of the day, maybe after 2 days, you write just 2-3 lines of code. And the 2 days are spent just finding the issue and understanding it, where to add your 2 lines of code that will fix the problem. And this is the thing that you just learn when you are in the industry, and you don't really understand that when you're in the university.
Yes.
And like Sarvat
So
mentioned,
Sarah, how do you think? Yes, please.
sorry. So like Sarvat
Yes,
mentioned,
Adam, go ahead.
for the first 2-3 years in your job, you don't realize what role or importance a good manager can have in your life. And you just don't understand that, because you just don't have that visibility. You're not at that level. You don't get the full scope. And the reason that I'm emphasizing it right now is because now all of us are at that level, and we are managing people, and we need to be sort of in that mentorship role and try to actually pick up the young kids coming in from the day one, to get them some feeling. जिस तरह अभी सरवत ने बात की कि अगर आपको अपना कोड पता हुआ चलता हुआ नजर आता है, आप कह सकते हैं कि एक्सबॉक्स में मैंने ये साइन इन का कोड लिखा है, एनीथिंग. Most of the times when we are writing code, we don't really understand where it's being used. हमें पता ही नहीं होता as fresh graduates, and that is sort of a demotivating thing. Some people lose interest if they don't understand that. So अब मैं, for example, I'm leading a team on this project, और पहले दिन से जो मेरा ज़्यादा काम है वो ये है कि उनको उनके काम की significance समझाना, कि what they're doing is, where it is being used, who is using it, what's the impact. I mean, I just tell my young team that, look, this is a multi-billion-dollar company that is using our software to deliver this project. तो अगर हम इनको बताएंगे शुरू से, तो that probably encourages them more and brings them more into the development and take more responsibility.
Yes, very much agreed. Sarah, what do you think that software development role for females? do you think that this is one of the ideal role that they should definitely join in, or they should definitely try something else after computer science which would be more appropriate for them, considering the emotional trauma that Sarvat has just mentioned, which is very much part of the process?
Actually, I think not just for females, for anybody, you should get into computer science if you have a passion for it, because it's not an easy. I mean, I don't want to scare people, but it's not, if you don't like it, it's not easy to program or to you need to have those problem solving abilities. So if you don't enjoy solving problems, you shouldn't get into the field. As far as female versus male is concerned, um, I do see, matlab, it's not just in one culture, it's all over. Women are somehow somewhat discouraged to get into math or to get into computer science. So I think you should not, if you are good at it, if you like it, that is something you should not let yourself like hold back on that. You should get into the field. I also think in terms of the diversity or sort of the focus है, that companies actually encourage women to come into this field. And I have had, especially at Amazon, has had really nice mentors who understand the challenges that women face and they're willing to help you. So I don't think you should let any fear hold you back. The most important thing is that you should enjoy programming. You should enjoy the work that you're doing.
Sarah, I wanted to know this question in a way that considering different role that a woman need to play in her personal life as well. Do you think that being a software developer along other roles in your personal life as well, you can justify or you can have a good balance with those things? Because definitely being female, that is also the kind of priority that we need to lead in our life.
Okay, so one thing, I don't have kids, but I do have a husband. He is very supportive.
I can talk about the kid part a lot after this.
Me too. I would like to talk about it, but I'll.
Oh, good. Ayesha, then I'll go with you further to elaborate this question. Sarah, what's your take on it?
Yeah. So for me, I think very important thing. Sheryl Sandberg also said, if you want to succeed in your career, you should have a very supportive life partner, which I have. So I mean, he doesn't stop me from excelling in my career. I actually spend quite a bit of time working. So he takes care of things that I cannot take care of during that time. I think this dynamics actually varies from family to family, person to person. So I think if you're choosing a life partner, just choose it wisely so that you can also
you can continue with most of the things that you like.
Yeah.
Ayesha, what's your take on it? Definitely you can better tell with the kind of mashallah you
Yeah,
have supporting husband too, but you have kids at home, being a homemaker, then raising kids and doing your job, how it is to balance all of
Yeah,
these things together.
I think I'm a big fan of like think bigger picture, and then I think there are three key principles that helps you even if you're a homemaker, if you're doing bunch of things, and we just scare off. I think a lot of times मैं अपनी बहुत सारे cousins को भी बहुत सारे students को जिनको I usually mentor back in Pakistan, I say like it's not like अच्छा मैंने पढ़ लिया है, मैंने bachelor's कर लिया है, now I'll do masters और उसके बाद तो शादी हो जानी है, तो मतलब I'm not thinking about job, or even like it's a culture to ask, are you getting married? If you're going to join a company, or are you going to have kids? I think it's a wrong mindset to even think about that like that. In my 7-year career, I had 2 kids, 2 maternity leaves, and alhamdulillah, I'm doing great. I don't think that impacted my impact of how I delivered things, and there's a lot of things that helped. One is definitely my family and husband. He has been super supportive, and he's from the same industry, so he does understand where how he can help. The other is also my team, or like my workmates. Third is also communication, right? When I had I think that maybe when my first baby was born, before that I used to work till 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Right? I used to work late, and I went to the hospital. I drove myself from my office to the hospital myself. I didn't know the baby was coming or anything, but this is kind of something like I was working late and I was at work till the last day. But then after the baby, I made sure that the time was less. Instead of working 8 hours, 9 hours, I was working 5 hours. But I was making sure that I was using the right strategies and I was using my energy at the right place where I was adding value and still doing the same impact that I was doing before. And actually I did better. So I think it's not only working till late versus not, it's also knowing what things matter. If you have, I think I took a training, Dale Carnegie training, and it emphasized on if you have 10 things to do, and it's not even for just technology, but even at home, if you have 10 things to do, you have to do dishes and clean up the house and mop the house and wash the bathrooms and feed the kids. What's the most important thing, right? It's feeding the kids. So make sure you feed the kids first, and then do the dishes. So it's prioritizing, and I think that's what I learned after having kids. Make sure that I'm doing at work as well, the most important thing, where I'm using adding value and I'm having my impact as well. And I'll be very honest, after my second kid, which is just last year, when I went back to work after 2 months, and it was tough because I was in postpartum kind of depression as well. I had a 2 month old who was super colic and she had like reflux, so she would be up all night. And I was going to work. I was nursing her, so I was pumping whole day in my work. Like I won't see people because I'll be in mother's room. But what all that mean is, even apart from that, if I was working for 2 hours or 3 hours, I was productive. I was able to focus and I had my priorities clear. And plus, I had a really good manager and a really good team to whom I was really transparent about, okay, I'm working on these. You tell me what are the most important things that I need to do, and this will be my pace. So set an expectation. I think that helps. It's not, if you're, I think it's give and take. As a manager, I do the same thing. For my people, I make sure that I'm empathetic, and the same my team does the same for me. So I think as a software engineer, it's also important not to think of other people as, oh yeah, you have to get this done, this thing done no matter what. Like, be supportive. We are humans first, right? And then anything else. So be supportive with different circumstances and be understandable of other people. And that's where I think you grow if people around you help you grow and have that mindset. Like, so I really feel like back in Pakistan, a lot of times, if we learn something, like even if it was about like learned an algorithm which is really cool, then as a person, I would really help. Like my aim was, oh, I need to actually tell it to a couple of my friends so they know as well. But there's a really common mindset which is, oh, if I know it, I'm not gonna tell to anybody because then other people will know. I think that's the wrong mindset, and that doesn't help you grow. If you help others grow, they'll be your allies, and they like it's a give and take. And that's where, as a community, we should help each other grow. And it's the same holds for like at workplace. And I have found that principle really useful at my work place. As being a mom and driving multiple things, I can rely on people and ask them sometime, okay, I did this feature, this is all good, can you handle this after work hour, because I'm with the baby who's up all night, and can you take my on call? And they were there to help me. So in at times when they need help, I'll be there for them. So I think that's how I have been able to manage different transitions. And I think it's one really important part is communicating. If you are just, if you do not communicate and you don't let your team know, and then you are struggling, they won't know. And ask for the next thing. So one thing that I did, I asked my manager, I'm gonna have a baby. Would that impact my promotion? And if he said, I could, right?
That's a good question to ask.
Always ask. I think that was one of the key things I learned at GHC as well. Was once you get a promotion, always ask for the next promotion, what is the expectation from you? So that like how do you want to grow? If you're not doing those things, then that, I'm not making the bar up and I need to learn more, I need to do more. And how do I do that? But you need to ask. Nobody would know until you ask. So I think that's.
Can I say something as well? Sorry.
Yes, Sarvat, I was coming to you. We have 6 minutes left to end the session. So I think this is time to share your final takeaways before we close the session. So Sarvat, over to you first, please.
Yeah. So I would say I wanted to actually talk a little bit more about, women and development and women as a developer role, because I know that I have had discussion with other women from Pakistan, and they say that it's just programming is something that they fear. Like this is, something that they think that women don't do, or it's just the stereotypical stuff. I say smash those stereotypes. Do not listen to any of that. Actually, studies have shown girls are better at math for sure. Maybe even computer science. I'm just gonna, say it out there, because it's just our makeup. Our mental makeup is just that way. We're better at concentration. We're better at even multitasking. So I'm just gonna come out and say it. Then that if you use our example, me and Ayesha, Sarah, like we have broken those stereotypes, right? I have 3 boys. I have a 13-year-old or 4, and then 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. I've done career changes. I've done so many team changes while with kids. The one thing that I learned was own your destiny. Like tell your team what you are. Like where you stand. If you don't say it and you just let people's comments, like people will comment, oh, you can't get this done because you're mom, right? I mean, you have things going on. I've had to deal with that. That was 15 years ago. People would say stuff like, I'd come back from maternity or about to go to maternity, they would still say stuff like, how was your vacation? Or are you looking forward to your vacation? I'm like, oh, you know what? This is vacation for me right now, right, where I'm standing with you having coffee, So be straight up. Don't let people tell you what you should be doing. And once you do that, nobody messes with you. It's very important to set the record straight early in your career. The other thing I learned in the beginning, I didn't know how to even use the word promotion in my like career discussions. Like I would just be like, oh, I should be doing in a better role, do a little better, right? Like what I was trying to get to is, I need a promotion. I want a promotion. Please give me a promotion. I deserve it. I deserve a promotion. I didn't know how to use that word. And when I started using that word, things just changed. Like it was just amazing, because when you say what you are, like when you say that where you stand, people will start saying that as well. If you don't say it, nobody else is gonna say it, unfortunately. So be very, very obvious about that. The next thing I was gonna say is just always be yourself. Be as authentic as you can be. Let people know if you are not able to do something, as Aisha said. It's not happening right now. Set your record straight early enough, and don't let too much time pass by. So yeah, I'm trying to think about. I know I had another thought, but those are some of the main things. Drive your career. Nobody's going to drive it for you. And you can do it. There are times to take it slow as well. And there are times to go full at it. So there's a time for everything. Just figure out your priorities. If kids are the priorities, then maybe careers right now can relax. If now kids are not as dependent, for me, things are a little bit better right now. At least they're not as, physically dependent on me. Then yeah, now I will focus on my career more, So it all depends on what the time is. Timing is everything. And time management is a skill you pick up as you have more kids. So.
Yes. Great, Sarvat. It's definitely awesome takeaways from you. And Sarah, what's your takeaway generally from your career that you want to pass on further?
Okay, one thing I think I've learned actually the hard way is, and I've observed in other people, is that your career growth, like the people I've seen successful, is that they're at the right place at the right time. And that doesn't magically happen. You have to actively look for the right team, where you can see like the team that is important enough for the company, the team that is making money for the company. I think that is one thing that I learned a little bit late in my career, and I wish I'd learned it earlier and made the right moves. Sometimes we are just holding back, sitting that, okay, we'll get the promotion here, but if you don't see it coming in a few months, like 6, 7, 8 months, maybe a year, even that's I think late. you should just make the switch. Don't sit back. You have to be very active in driving your career.
Yes. Karib, what's your takeaway further, please?
So I agree with all of you what you have said. One thing I would like to add is learn to say yes more, because even if you don't know how to do it yet, say yes and then work your way up to how learn how to do it. Because अगर आपको कोई opportunity मिलती है या आपसे कोई पूछता है या आपको कोई task या कोई चीज़ देने के लिए करता है, if you're thinking at that time कि मेरे से होगा नहीं होगा क्या होगा, and you end up saying no, most often than not you'll regret it. So learn to say yes, and then that fear goes out, and then you say okay अब मैंने बोल दिया ठीक है, I have to do it. That changes your mindset of how you approach that problem and how you approach that task.
Yes, I think that's what Ruth has done. She just showed us, and I have
Exactly.
also done this once or twice in my career, and definitely this definitely helps you to make a move further. Yes, Aisha, please.
Yeah, I think one small thing I would say is, yeah, don't fear, step up and try things out. And one thing I would say, like software engineering as a career, like you can still keep your family, your kids as a priority and pursue this as a career. That's the beauty of technology. That I think this is so flexible. I think as a mom, as a homemaker, you can still pursue like half time. But I think the only challenge there is you have to be up to date to the technology, and that's where I suggest to all my people that I mentor is to be in the industry, like start working even if it's half time, even if it's 3 days a week, but work and then set your expectations, and that will help you. I mean, for me, sometimes it's like just my me time. From not hearing the kids cry and just going to the office and having a cup of tea, it's just my me time. So I think sometimes, and I feel like I'm being a better mom when I come back and I like love my kids. Otherwise, I'm home like 24/7 like we are now, sometimes it gets crazy, right? So I think figure out what's best for your family, what's best for you, and pursue that. If it's getting to your if it's getting to too much, then it's time to dial down. But yeah.
Actually, I totally agree with Aisha on this one. So it's really funny. For the last year and a half, when I returned back to Xbox, I actually told my team that from 8 to 9, I am not to be talked to. It was really funny. I was like, this is my breakfast hour, and this is my hour to de-stress. So it's really like some people didn't know about this in the beginning. They're like, okay, they would barge into my office. So what I started doing is I started hiding in our cafe because I was like, this is my hour. I need to collect my thoughts. I need to feel like I had a moment for myself because, once workday starts, that's it. It's crazy, right? Like you're in meetings, you have people barging in and out, you go home. Now, obviously, you're never going to have me time when you're at home. You have kids at home. So I protect that hour like a crazy maniac. Like I will make sure nobody, if I am getting bugged, I let people know I'm having breakfast, I will see you in an hour. Right? So that has really, really helped me because there have been so many times in my career where I was just like, I've had it, it's crazy, I have no time for myself, I don't want to do this, but I feel like having that 1 hour for myself every morning, no matter if I have a presentation coming in, I have a big meeting coming in, I don't care, I'm having a breakfast, I'm having my time, right? And it really makes that difference, at least for me. I don't know how it is for other people.
Amazing. It was amazing conversation overall, and knowing a lot of the pointers, both from male and female sides, and knowing that we have such aware women in Pakistan, belonging to Pakistan, who are actually making their way forward. And also, अभी जब मैं पैनल देख रही थी, I was remembering कि जब अरफा करीम visited Microsoft, she asked a question to Bill Gates, and she said कि जैसे पाकिस्तान में ख़वातीन नहीं है, वैसे Microsoft में भी ख़वातीन कम है. But I'm sure कि अगर आज अरफा करीम होती तो she would definitely be happy by knowing the kind of women PWIC is showing to the people, and also the kind of women Pakistan has right now belonging to technology, engineering, and other fields generally. Thank you very much, everybody. It was definitely insightful. I'm sure for everybody who has participated in the discussion. Thank you very much for giving your time and sharing the insights that matter to many. Thank you so much.
Thank
We end
you.
the session here.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.
There was a
Thank
question.
you.
There was a question.
Oh,
I think if someone can answer that um, from the
Do
chat.
we have the question? I think we have a lot of time already.
do we have a little 10 minutes extra? If is that okay to
Probably
take?
yes, because nobody's interrupting us, so I think we can extend. Oh,
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Uh, Kareth, what tips can you give to fresh software developers studying university level to work to improve software development skills?
So my reply would be to actually learn to distinguish yourself as students, because what students don't realize is when you're coming out of the batch, you have the same courses, you have the same projects, you have the same teachers, all of your CVs are the same. So if you get 20 CVs from a university, all of them are the same. So there should be some distinguishing factor on your CV that you can present. So these days there are a lot of online courses. So if you are really interested in something, you should show to the employer that you are interested. So you take some extra courses that go along and complement your overall skills. And when you walk into a company, you should know about what the company is doing, because if you don't know, that will show your lack of sort of interest or understanding of the kind of work that you are uh, getting yourself into. So I would say learn to distinguish something and add something on your CV other than the coursework and the projects.
I think you're right. I think that is a good point. You definitely need to distinguish yourself. I think what really helps us to be part of the different, projects, maybe on GitHub, maybe start your own project, maybe have an app to point to when you go into an interview. Like build a portfolio to show your passion. Because if you just say, "Yeah, I did some, these were my assignments," so it doesn't really speak a lot, right? Like if you're talking about an assignment, because they're like, yeah, you had to do it, so you did it. Good for you. But you really have to show that passion. And what for example, right now, I'm working on the PWIC website. Like I'm going to use that on my next interview, like whenever that interview might be, right? And I'll say, yeah, I'm doing things on the side. So especially for fresh graduates, and also to just work with, again, other people's code, right? Like if you were to join a GitHub project and you're adding features or you're fixing bugs, you really learn the real job, so I think that's very important. And the other thing, LinkedIn, you have to have a good presence on LinkedIn. I'm actually guilty of that. I haven't updated it as much. But yeah, I mean, again, when I go for the next interview, my LinkedIn is going to be very, very up to date. It's going to have my extra projects. And also things like when you are online, answer questions. Like people look at that. Recruiters are looking you up. They're trying to see your online presence. They're trying to see your depth of knowledge. So if you can have a blog going, or if you can be a guest blogger on another person's blog, those things can really make a difference in making you stand out.
I would like to follow on that theme, and I think there is another question on how to use COVID period positively as a benefit to improve your software development career. And I think Huma asked a question regarding volunteer work. So I want to join those bits into some of the experiences that I did. When I interviewed at Microsoft, when I came back, I told my father I'm not gonna get in because I basically screwed up. I wasn't able to solve two of the coding problems, and I was able to do two, but not the other two. And there were like 4 or 5 interviews. I think what get me through was one, problem solving. Like I was trying my best, even though I couldn't get to the solution. I was trying my best, and I was making sure that I showed the steps of how I'm trying to do it. So I think that's one thing that helps is to walk through the process. Second is my resume had bunch of other extracurricular activities which I'm really passionate about. So I was in Red Cross. I went on Fulbright. I did volunteer for SOS. I was teaching in some schools for kids who couldn't afford school and things like that, which I'm passionate about. And those were all in my CVs, which were not very technical, but they were something that shows that I'm a team player and I'm empathetic to people and I'm passionate about community. So I think if we're doing those things, a lot of times we don't even include them in our resume. Like, why do I include this? This is not even for computer science, right? So I think that those makes a lot of difference. And they actually show you as a good team player in a company as well, in corporate organization as well. So make sure that you include those in your resumes as well.
Can I say something? I forgot to talk about this earlier, and I wanted to bring this up. If there is ever any time to be a woman in tech, it is now. There was a time, again, when I started 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, things were a little difficult. But now they're up with groups like GHC, PWIC, and all the other tech women in tech groups. There has been so much more awareness about the gender gap, and how women are not making it to the higher positions and all of that people are a little bit more like paying more attention to women and actually giving them the respect that they have deserved all along. So I feel that this is just this is like the perfect, call it the perfect storm. I think women should jump in it. In the when computer science really started in the beginning, like programming as a degree or mathematics as a degree in the 1980s, women were there first. They were coming in droves, right? And then I don't know, something happened. I don't know the reason, what happened. The stereotypes came in, and women were supposed to be doctors again forever and teachers and whatever. So something happened along the way, and we started dropping off. But I think that wave is now starting to come back up. And I think that we should be excited about this time. And the fact with coronavirus, what happened? People are so much more comfortable with remote work now. And that makes a big difference for me as a mom. Just having that ability to work from home and other people be okay with it, because many tech companies have had that culture around, if you're working at home, you're Netflixing all day. Like, it's bad, right? So they're starting to now realize that people are getting more work done, right? When they're at home, it's actually better. People are working longer, unfortunately, but so time has come where I think that things will improve a lot. I don't think we'll ever go back to the way we were, to being like fully in person, in office all the time, 5 times or 6 times a week, right? So I think, I think we should enjoy this time and be excited for it. That's my take.
Yeah, that's actually very true, because even when I talk about Bentley was an on-premises company all the time, and now suddenly in a month's time we are now a virtual company now, and I just keep thinking about how this pandemic would have felt in 1918 when there was the Spanish flu. I mean, just imagine, there's no technology, there's no connectivity, there's no nothing. The fact that we are here sitting right now and talking online and discussing this and doing work from home. So all of this is due to technology, and all of this is just going to go more and more in this direction. So the importance of this field, computer science as a field, is going to go more and more, grow more and more as the time goes. And like Sarvat said, it's hardly going to go back to normal anytime soon. So this is how it's going, and I think this is right now the best time to enter this field and take it up as a profession.
Yeah, definitely learn how to be a remote worker. That's a skill, right? It's a
Yeah.
new skill that we're all learning, and I'm so glad that we actually, not from the COVID part. I'm not talking about, obviously not, but I'm just saying I'm glad that at least something positive is coming out of this, right? Like, I know at Microsoft they're so much more open about people working from home now, because I know I've worked through this. There has been it's been a long time coming. I always felt that if I worked from home, I mean, it depends. Some teams are much better at it. I never got the good feeling about it. So, and this is nice that everybody is realizing that we can actually get really good work done from home. So I'm happy about that.
Thank you, everyone. I think we're so yeah. Let's wrap up with this. Thank you, everyone, for
I
attending.
don't see Sabha here, so I don't know if she's dropped off.
Sabha has left the building.
The host is gone.
Is there any other question we should be? I'm just quickly checking. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I think that was all the questions.
That was
And
all
yeah,
the questions. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're good
thank you,
then.
everyone, for listening in. Yeah.
I had
So
a lot of fun.
really good
Thank you.
time. I had a really good time, and it's great knowing all of you.
Yeah, great. Well, I know Ayesha and Sarah from before, but nice to meet you, Karib.
Yeah.
And